"No one shuts me up," roared the millionaire. But the maid's reply left him speechless. The echo of his rage shook the marble walls of the mansion. "Nitrogen monoxide, one shuts me up." It wasn't the voice of an ordinary man. It was the furious roar of Martin Holt, a millionaire known for his power, arrogance, and ruthless temper. Employees feared him. No one dared look him in the eye, let alone speak back, except today. In front of him stood a quiet young maid, Ilara, soft-spoken, reserved, and ignored by everyone. But tonight was different, because when Martin's anger exploded like a storm, Ilara didn't flinch. She didn't tremble. She didn't step back. Instead, she said something that sliced through his ego like a blade. Something no one in the mansion had ever dared to say to him. Something that left the millionaire absolutely speechless. And the truth behind her words? It would expose secrets he had buried for years. The story begins now. Martin Holt's mansion was nothing less than a palace. Glittering chandeliers, cold Italian marble floors, towering artwork on every wall. Everything in that house shouted power, money, and superiority. But inside Martin's heart, there was no luxury. Only emptiness, bitterness, and a lifetime of arrogance. The staff walked on eggshells around him. He shouted for the smallest mistakes. He insulted people like it was his right. Everyone feared him except the new maid, Elara. Elara had joined only a few weeks earlier. She was quiet, gentle, and hardly noticeable. She finished her work silently, kept her head down, and avoided drama. Yet something about her calmness always irritated Martin. He didn't know why, but her silence felt like she could see through him. That evening, rain drummed against the windows as Martin stormed into the hall. A crystal glass slipped from his hand and shattered across the floor. "My office was supposed to be clean," he roared. The staff froze. Nobody dared move. Ilara slowly stepped forward, her expression steady. "Your office was clean, sir," she said softly. "You were the one who threw the files." Martin's neck snapped toward her, disbelief turning into pure rage. "Nitrogen monoxide, one shuts me up," he thundered. "Do you hear me? I decide what's true." Everyone backed away, but Ilara didn't move an inch. She simply lifted her eyes and met his gaze, calm, unshaken, almost fearless. And she replied, "If you can't handle the truth, why take your anger out on others?" Silence slammed through the mansion like a shockwave. No one had ever spoken to Martin like that. And for the first time, he didn't know what to say. For several seconds, Martin stood frozen, staring at her as if he couldn't believe what he just heard. A maid, someone he considered beneath him, had challenged him. Not with disrespect, but with truth. His pride flared again. "Do you even know who I am?" he barked. "This city bends before me. People fear me." The staff exchanged terrified glances. Ilara didn't flinch. "Fear isn't respect, sir," she replied. "If people only obey you because they're scared, that's not power. That's loneliness." The words hit harder than a slap. Martin's breath faltered. He wasn't used to someone seeing through him. He wasn't used to someone speaking to him like a human, not a tyrant. Ilara continued, sweeping the shattered glass as she said, "The louder a person screams, the emptier they feel inside." Martin stiffened. How could she know? His entire life, his childhood, his scars, his unspoken pain, no one had ever seen it. No one had cared to, but this maid. Somehow, she understood. "You're fired," he snapped suddenly. "Get out of my house because I told the truth?" she asked calmly. That question stopped him cold. Why was he firing her? She wasn't rude. She wasn't wrong. She wasn't disrespectful. She was right. He hated that. Martin stepped back, suddenly unsure of himself. Ilara continued cleaning, her movements graceful and steady. The other staff watched her with awe. She had done what none of them ever dared to do. Then a soft voice broke the silence. "Wait." Martin had spoken. Ilara paused but didn't turn. "How do you know I'm empty?" His voice trembled ever so slightly. Ilara inhaled slowly. "Because broken people often try to break everyone around them," she said. "It's the only way they feel powerful." The entire mansion fell silent, and for the first time, Martin Holt felt seen. The tension in the room thickened. Martin, who had built his life on wealth, domination, and reputation, stood there looking strangely fragile. He wasn't shouting. He wasn't threatening. He wasn't towering over anyone. He was human. He sank down onto the nearest sofa, burying his face in his hands. "You don't know me," he said quietly. "You don't know what I've been through," Ilara replied gently. "I don't need to know your past. I hear it in your voice. You scream like someone who was never heard." Martin stopped breathing for a moment. Every barrier he had built cracked. Every memory he buried resurfaced. His father yelling, his failures mocked, his childhood filled with fear, not love. For the first time in years, his eyes watered. He swallowed hard. "What's your name?" he whispered. "Ilara," she replied. "How did you get the courage to speak to me like that?" Ilara looked at him softly. "Because I don't think you're a bad man. Just a man who never learned how to deal with his pain." Those words pierced deeper than knives. Martin leaned back, letting the truth settle inside him for once. He listened, minutes passed, heavy and silent. I want to change, he finally said. But I don't know how. Will you help me? Ilara nodded gently. I'm your maid, sir. But as a human being. Yes, I'll help. And from that moment, something changed. Martin apologized to the staff for the first time in his life. He stopped shouting. He started listening. He began treating people with dignity. The mansion felt lighter. The staff smiled more. Fear turned into respect. But everyone knew one thing: the person who changed the millionaire's life wasn't a doctor, a counselor, or a billionaire friend. It was a quiet maid with the courage to speak the truth. Want more powerful stories, fierily structured scripts, and emotional plotlines like this?